Previously on Thrust and Thunder, we discovered rust underneath our Grand Design Solitude. We disassembled our parts, discovered the rust on all of our hardware. We removed that rust with a grinder and a brush attached to the drill, and then we restored all of our parts using the Chassis Saver Paint Plus Eastwood rust converter. We then installed a new Dexter Easy Flex Shackle and Equalizer assembly to improve our ride going down the highway. We then reinstalled all of our parts to include the wheel hubs and the brake assemblies, and here we have the final product, which looks stunning and is ready to go out onto the highway. On this episode of Thrust and Thunder, we're going to get the camper outside, run it through some tests since the season is just now beginning, and we're going to take it on a test drive. We need to check a couple things after the test drive, and we're going to get to all of that. So as we pull the camper outside, I want to talk about what I perceive as a myth about short bed trucks hauling fifth wheel campers. As the truck turns, I'm going to have the steering wheel hard over, and you're going to notice the distance between the back window glass and the front of the camper still has about 1.5 feet of clearance, even when I've got the steering wheel all the way over. Now this distance will change a little bit when you're in reverse and backing up while also trying to conduct a sharp turn, but while pulling forward, as you see here, it's just not a problem. However, look at the space, 1.5 feet of clearance. There's no problem turning this camper with the short bed truck. And I just want to point that out because I hear all the time about how short bed trucks cannot carry fifth wheel campers. It's just not really true because of the modern nose design on these campers. The tapered nose on either side of the front nose cap allows for a short bed truck to haul these rigs without any problem. As you notice during the view of the undercarriage, as the axles flex and stretch while maneuvering on the driveway, you can see how the new shackle set and new equalizer are operating in those tight turns. Now we'll spend a couple days just testing out the camper, making sure the heater works, making sure the air conditions work, all the slides go in and out as necessary. I'll have to stow some items away just so that we can take the camper on a test drive and test out our newly installed shackle and equalizer sets. Now the first step is going to be returning the camper into a hookup position. It's just basically a memory position that the camper remembers when it came off of the truck, and it resets the attitude of the camper to that position so that the truck can easily hook back to the camper. After an exhaustive walk around and check and recheck of all of our hardware, the camper is ready to go out onto the road and test out all of our new hardware and installed parts, as well as our upgraded axle and hub assemblies. As we hook up the truck to the camper, you'll notice the hitch that I have installed actually wraps around and grips the kingpin of our pin box, and let me tell you, that does give you some peace of mind knowing that your kingpin is secure. Here I'm filling the airbags that are installed on the truck. I can provide a link in the description for those airbags. I normally place them at about 75 to 80 psi depending on the time of year, and that really helps handle all the weight going down the highway on the truck itself. Now it's time to take the camper out on the highway, and I'll do about a 10 to 20 mile test drive just to get everything heated up and test out our wheel bearings, wheel hubs, and when we get back from that test drive, we're going to check a couple things. So the goal of this test drive is to take the camper on some bumpy roads. I want to engage the brakes heavily a couple times. I want to get the temperatures up. I want to hit some bumps, make sure that the axles settle into position, because those U-bolts, even though they're torqued down, they're going to move around a little bit because they may not be perfectly straight. When we get back, we're going to retorque all of that and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. So just before I pulled back into my driveway, I really got on the brakes hard, and we're going to see some temperatures here in just a moment. So I get on the brakes pretty aggressively. Here's the temperature of the outer hub, 92 degrees, 118 on the inner hub on the forward axle. The rear axle carries a little more load, so the temperatures will be a little higher, especially right up against the wheel hub where the brakes are. And look at this, 206 degrees, which is right up against the maximum that you're gonna wanna see on these wheel hubs. All right, here we are after the test drive. We have removed the wheels once again, and now we are going to check the torque and retorque the U-bolts holding on the leaf spring. And so that is what we're gonna do right now. Just a quick inspection of our wheel hubs. Everything looks really good. Checking on that free rotation after getting that residue off. It's pretty easily rotatable. Let's talk a little bit about this Dexter Easy Flex setup. So the reason why we changed out from the CRE 3000 to this Dexter Easy Flex is for a couple reasons. The CRE 3000 was starting to corrode, and it was time to get rid of that setup. And I had used this Dexter Easy Flex on my previous camper, and it's provided for a really nice ride for the camper. Everything's just a little bit tighter than the CRE 3000, which came stock on this unit. And so we decided to go with this Dexter Easy Flex. Just like the CRE 3000, it came with the wet bolts. You can see the grease. The other difference is this rubber bushing that takes all that load as the unit goes down the road. So let's get to retorquing our U-bolts. Now, I have to tell you, in my mind, I was saying, holy crap, I was not expecting 2 full turns on these bolts. Some of them actually did turn 2 full turns before I got the full torque reseated. I have to say, I was a bit surprised at just how much movement there was on those bolts. It just goes to show how important it is to do the retorquing operation after you do the first test drive. Now we have torque seal on all of our hardware. And once this stuff dries, if it rotates, you'll see a crack in the torque seal. Now we'll reinstall our wheels and tires, and the camper will be ready for a road trip. This is going to conclude the 4 video series on our Grand Design Solitude axle teardown, rebuild, and upgrade. We certainly appreciate you all joining us for this series. We hope that you have learned something and can apply those things learned to projects around your garage and your house. If you like the content that you're seeing, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, by all means, comment down below. You can also email us at thrustandthunder1@gmail.com. And we look forward to seeing you on follow-on series videos just like this one, and we'll see you on the next one.